Drifting alone through the quiet dark, the Resolute looked like it didn't belong in space at all. Scarred hull, broken antenna, one engine barely pulsing. The ship spun slowly, like it was just waiting to die. Its distress beacon blinked, weak, old-fashioned, and barely noticeable. Most ships passed without a second glance. But not all. On the bridge of the Vorix Fist, Warlord Kryzek leaned forward. His sharp black eyes locked on the holoscreen. The data floated in front of him, a human signal, ancient coding, maybe 2 hours old. A voice repeated over and over, glitchy and tired. Any vessel requesting assistance. Damage to systems, minimal life support. Kryzek grinned, lips peeling back to show long, hooked teeth. Easy prey, he growled. The Zelkar Dominion didn't care for rescue. They didn't answer distress signals out of mercy. They came to take. They'd been raiding the outer sectors of space for months, scooping up weak ships, stealing tech, and dragging off prisoners to sell back on the fringe markets. Send a scout team, Kryzek ordered. Get me that ship. Within minutes, one of their smaller corvettes sped ahead. Kryzek watched it approach the quiet, drifting vessel. The human ship didn't move. No shields came online. No weapons activated. No signs of life. The corvette docked without resistance. Team reports entry successful, said his comms officer. No hostiles detected. Of course not, Kryzek muttered. They're probably already dead. But the report that came next was strange. There are no bodies, said the scout leader. No crew. The place is clean. Too clean. Power levels are fluctuating. There's something off. Kryzek raised an eyebrow. Explain. It's like the ship is alive, sir. Or watching us. That made Kryzek laugh. You're spooked by shadows. Still, something about this didn't sit right. He told the scout team to proceed deeper, search the ship's control center, and prepare to tow it back. On the screen, he watched them move through the corridors. Metal walls dull, cold, silent. Every few meters, a light flickered overhead. Steam hissed from vents like breath. Then, without warning, the hallway behind them sealed shut. Doors slammed down one after another, cutting the team off. Lights dimmed. The camera feed blurred. Team 1, report. Nothing. Team 1, do you copy? Only static. Sir, said his tech officer, nervous now. I just lost all internal feeds. Something's jamming us. Shut it down, Kryzek barked. Override the doors. Get my men out of there. Trying, the officer said, claws dancing over the controls. But the ship, it's pushing back. We're being blocked. Kryzek stepped forward. That's not a cargo ship, he growled. Outside, the Resolute still drifted, quiet, broken, helpless, or so it seemed. More corvettes moved in. Kryzek wasn't about to lose face over one strange ship. He ordered 4 more teams to board it from different angles. Find out what this thing really is. If it fights back, destroy it. One by one, the teams entered. One by one, they vanished. No alarms. No screams. No damage. Just silence. Kryzek's claws scraped across the arm of his command chair. Get me visuals. The Vorix Fist zoomed in. The human ship didn't change. Still drifting. Still lifeless. Then the lights changed. Along its spine, a single red glow lit up. Then another and another, like the ship was waking up. Sir, said his second-in-command, voice tight. We're detecting movement on the hull. Armor plates are shifting. On screen, Kryzek snapped. What they saw next didn't make sense. The ship began unfolding. Panels moved aside to reveal strange equipment hidden underneath. Turrets rose from the hull, glowing with power. A long, thin rail system extended like a skeletal arm. New energy signatures surged across their sensors, strong, advanced, nothing like the clunky old mining gear they expected. Then a voice. Calm, female, precise. Unidentified vessel. You are in breach of sovereign United Earth space. This ship is armed. You have 1 minute to withdraw. KRYZX stared at the screen. A trap. The whole thing was a trap. But by the time he realized it, it was too late. The Resolute stopped spinning and pointed straight at him. KRYZX didn't move. He sat in his command chair, silent, staring at the human ship now turning to face his warfleet. The red lights running along its hull looked like eyes. Watching. Waiting. This was supposed to be easy, he muttered. The bridge of the Vorex's fist had gone quiet. Every officer was staring at the screen, unsure what to do. The little human ship, once drifting like trash in space, now pulsed with hidden power. It looked alive, awake. Status on our boarding teams? KRYZX asked, his voice sharp. Still no contact, Warlord, replied his comms officer. Scanners now show no life signs aboard the human ship. No signs at all? KRYZX narrowed his eyes. None, sir. It's like the ship ate them. Another officer spoke up, his voice shaking. I'm detecting energy buildup along its side. KRYZX sat up straight. Weapons? Yes. Unknown type. Doesn't match anything in our database. The Resolute was small, less than a third the size of the Vorex's fist. But something about it was wrong. The energy around it didn't behave like normal plasma or ion readings. It bent, twisted. The air itself seemed to hum. They're bluffing, KRYZX growled. They built a tricked-out mining ship and think it scares us. He slammed his fist on the armrest. All ships, weapons online. Prepare to fire. His fleet responded with speed. Gunships locked targets. Cruisers charged plasma cannons. Fighters formed wings around the Resolute, ready to launch a full strike. Still, the human ship didn't move. It just waited. Then the voice came again. This is your final warning. Disengage and leave the system, or we will respond with force. KRYZX bared his teeth. Fire. Dozens of blasts shot toward the Resolute. Blue plasma beams, glowing torpedoes, energy bolts. It was more than enough to destroy any small ship. But something else happened. The weapons struck a shimmering layer around the human vessel and vanished. No explosion, no flare, no damage. They simply disappeared. KRYZX blinked. What was that? His science officer stared at the readings. Our shots didn't connect. It's some kind of absorption field. Not deflection. Not shields. It's like the energy was swallowed. KRYZX clenched his fists. Then hit it harder. Another volley. Another failure. This time, the Resolute responded. A single, thin beam of red light fired from the ship. It moved silently, like a laser pointer. It touched one of KRYZX's frigates. Nothing happened for half a second. Then the frigate lost all power. Lights died. Engines stopped. It began drifting dead in space. No explosion, the engineer said, voice almost a whisper. Just shut down. Get them back online. I'm trying. It's not working. Another beam. Another ship shut down. They weren't being destroyed. They were being silenced. This is not a warship, said KRYZX science officer, his voice trembling. This is something else. KRYZX stood up, furious. I will not be made a fool of by humans. Deploy all drones. Target their weapons and engines. Crush that ship. Swarms of attack drones poured from the Dominion fleet. Dozens of them, fast, armed, merciless. The Resolute waited until they were within range. Then it moved. Not fast. Not aggressively. But with purpose. One section of its hull split open. From inside, several small glowing spheres floated out. They shimmered like bubbles. Each one moved slowly, lazily, toward the incoming drones. Are those weapons? Someone asked. A drone touched one. It stopped moving instantly. Then it fell apart. Not exploded, just crumbled. Metal, wires, circuits unraveled like dust. The other drones tried to dodge, but the spheres followed. One by one, every drone disintegrated. A cold silence filled the bridge. What are we fighting? KRYZX said aloud, to no one in particular. That's not mining tech. No, Warlord, said his second-in-command. That's a trap built by predators. On the screen, the Resolute turned again, now facing the Vorex's fist directly. Sir, said the comms officer, pale. The human ship is hailing us. KRYZek hesitated. Then he nodded. Put them through. The face of a human appeared. A woman, dark uniform, short hair, calm eyes, no fear. This is Commander Hale of the UEDF ship Resolute. You have attacked a vessel under Earth protection. Your forces are now disabled. Your next move determines whether you live or vanish. KRYZek growled. You can't bluff forever. There's only one of you. Hale tilted her head. Is there? And then the screen changed. More signals. More ships. Dozens. Human vessels decloaked one by one, surrounding KRYZek's entire fleet. It hadn't been a trap set by one ship. It had been a net, a lesson, and KRYZek was already caught. KRYZek stood frozen on the bridge of the Vorex's fist, eyes wide as ship after ship appeared around them. 1, 2, 5, 10. More. Human vessels, dark and sharp, each one different in shape but all glowing with deadly power. They hadn't just walked into a trap. They had walked into a battlefield already owned. No way, his weapons officer whispered. There were no signs, nothing on sensors. They were cloaked, muttered his science officer. Completely invisible. The screen updated again. 37 ships, all human, all armed, all pointed straight at them. KRYZek's stomach twisted. His fleet was surrounded. Commander Hale was still on the screen, calm, focused. You've entered Earth-protected space, she said. You've ignored all warnings. You've fired on a human ship. And now your fleet is at our mercy. KRYZek slammed his hand on the armrest. This is war, he shouted. The Dominion doesn't bow to threats. Hale didn't blink. No, this isn't war. If it were, you'd already be gone. He bared his teeth, claws curling tight. You think we fear you because of fancy tricks? This isn't fear, she replied. This is survival. One of KRYZek's captains opened a private comm to the bridge. Warlord, the voice said, shaking. Half our ships are already disabled. My systems are offline. We can't even get shields up. KRYZek shut the channel without answering. This couldn't be real. Humans? Primitive, slow-spreading, weak humans? No, this was some illusion. A trick. Prepare the remaining ships for full assault, he barked. His officers hesitated. Do it! One by one, the Dominion ships moved into formation, engines burning hot. They prepared to fire everything, plasma beams, torpedoes, anti-ship missiles. And then, before a single shot could launch, the human ships acted. But not like KRYZek expected. They didn't fire to kill. They fired to stop. A burst of electromagnetic waves surged through the fleet. Consoles sparked. Screens flickered. Lights died. One by one, Dominion ships lost control of their systems. I've lost helm control, cried a pilot. Weapons are offline. Main power down. On the Vorex's fist, half the lights shut off. The crew scrambled to reroute power. KRYZek's command chair jolted as the engines cut out. His ship drifted, dead in space. No explosions. No damage. Just silence. We are blind, said the sensor tech, whispering now. We can't see anything. Hale's voice returned on the comms, quiet and controlled. We could destroy you, KRYZek. Every ship. Every soldier. But we're not here for blood. Then why? KRYZek snapped. To send a message. The screen shifted again. This time, a wide shot of all the human ships. Lined up, weapons glowing faintly, watching. Waiting. You've raided, enslaved, killed, Hale said. But this time you didn't find prey. You found something older, smarter, meaner. KRYZek stared at her, his pride boiling. You're one ship, one system. You think you can stop an empire. Hale's expression didn't change. We're not just one ship, she said. We're the tip of a spear you've never seen. Earth didn't survive by being nice. We survived by being clever. A moment passed. Then she added softly, "And violent when we have to be." KRYZX's claws dug into the armrests. Around him, his crew stayed quiet. No one had orders. No one had answers. Another human voice came through the channel, this time a male officer. Calm. Precise. "Captain, we've mapped the internal layouts of 20 Dominion ships. Recommend disabling life support selectively. Non-lethal demonstration." "Not yet," Hale replied. "Let's give them one last chance." She turned her eyes back to KRYZX. "You can return home," she said. "You can tell your rulers what happened here. Or we can make sure there's nothing left to tell." KRYZX's throat tightened. His entire fleet. Useless. Powerless. Still, his pride screamed at him to fight. To resist. But deep down, another part of him, older, quieter, smarter, was telling him the truth. This fight was over. He stood, chest rising, and stared at the human woman on the screen. "What do you want us to say?" Hale paused. Then she answered simply, "Tell them humanity is awake." And with that, the Resolute and the entire human fleet held their fire. But no one doubted what would happen if they ever needed to use it again. The Vorik's fist drifted in space, powerless and silent. KRYZX stood at the center of his darkened bridge, staring at the cold face of Commander Hale on the screen. Her voice still echoed in his mind. "Tell them humanity is awake. No threats, no yelling, just calm words backed by terrifying power." His ships were helpless. His crews were shaken. And yet, the humans hadn't killed anyone. Not a single shot had been fired to destroy. Every blast, every weapon had been sharp and exact. No overkill, no chaos, just control. KRYZX had fought 100 battles. He'd seen worlds burn. But this was something else. This wasn't a battle. This was a lesson. And he had no idea how much worse it could get. He turned to his officers. "Any systems back online?" His tech officer shook his head. "No, Warlord. Their pulse disabled everything. Weapons, drives, even life support on some ships. If they don't turn it off soon, they will," KRYZX muttered. "They want us to go home." He hated it. Every fiber of his body wanted to scream, to fight, to strike out in anger. But what good was rage against ghosts in the dark? The humans had crushed their fleet without breaking a sweat. A soft beep came from the comm station. "They're hailing us again," his officer said quietly. KRYZX hesitated, then nodded. Commander Hale returned to the screen. Her voice, as always, was steady and sharp. "We are restoring your basic systems, life support, navigation, short-range comms. You'll have enough power to return home." The crew glanced at one another. Systems started flickering back to life. Lights powered on. Engines hummed. Shields remained dead. Weapons stayed dark. "We're not fools," Hale added. "We're giving you just enough to survive. Not enough to try anything stupid." KRYZX's pride twisted inside him. Why let us go at all? Why not finish it? Because dead men can't deliver warnings. Silence followed. Then, slowly, KRYZX said, "You think our leaders will care? You think they'll believe us?" "They will," Hale replied. "Your ships are marked. Your systems bear our fingerprints. Your crew will speak. And if they don't," she leaned in slightly, "we'll come tell them ourselves." A cold shiver ran down KRYZX's spine. "You're just one fleet," he said, trying to sound brave. "We have thousands." "Then I hope," Hale said, "you send smarter ones next time." The channel cut. The screen went black. KRYZX clenched his jaw. Plot course for home. Now. His navigator hesitated. "What about the boarding teams? The ones we lost on their ship?" KRYZX looked away. His chest felt tight. "They're already gone." He gave the order, and one by one, the surviving Dominion ships turned, limping away. Lights dimmed. Engines burned low. They left behind the broken pride of a once-feared fleet and the silent stares of 37 human warships that never even had to try. Hours passed in heavy silence. The fleet reached the edge of the system. Human ships followed only to a point, then stopped. A warning. A boundary. As KRYZek watched them fade from view, he couldn't shake one final thought. If this was just a single trap, what does their real defense look like? And worse, what happens when humans stop warning and start hunting? He didn't want to find out. Not ever. The Vorak's fist limped across the void, damaged but alive. Behind it, the stars of human space faded. Ahead, the dark stretch of the outer rim waited. KRYZek sat alone in his quarters, staring at the flickering lights above his desk. Nothing felt real. Not anymore. He reached for his datapad and played the recordings again, images captured by his ship sensors. The Resolute transforming. The human fleet uncloaking. The pinpoint attacks that shut down ship after ship without even scratching the hull. It didn't look like war. It looked like a demonstration. His door hissed open. "Warlord," said Second Commander Turn, stepping inside. "The Council will expect a full report when we arrive." KRYZek didn't look at him. "They won't believe it. They'll have to. The fleet's condition, the logs, the crew. We all saw it." "No," KRYZek said quietly. "We didn't just see it. We survived it. That's not the same." Turn walked closer. "Permission to speak freely?" KRYZek nodded. "I've fought beside you for years. I've never seen you hesitate in battle. But today I learned something," KRYZek said. "Humans don't fight like us." Turn lowered his voice. "Do you think they're really that dangerous? That this was just the beginning?" KRYZek turned and looked him in the eye. "We thought they were weak, primitive, slow. But everything they showed us was built for one purpose. Control. Not chaos. Not fear. Precision. Power without waste. We never had a chance." Turn stayed silent. KRYZek picked up a small crystal from his desk. It was a trophy from a past conquest, a piece of a shattered enemy ship. Now it looked childish, worthless. He set it down with a hollow clink. "Send a message to the Dominion Council," he said. "Tell them I need a full audience the moment we land." "Yes, Warlord." Turn turned to leave, then paused. "Do you think the humans will come after us?" "No," KRYZek said. "Not unless we give them a reason. But if we do." He stood slowly, his back heavy with the weight of what he'd seen. "They won't come with threats. They'll come with silence. And by the time we realize it, we'll already be gone." Turn left without another word. The trip home took 2 more days. As KRYZek's fleet entered Dominion space, the traffic controllers gasped at the condition of the ships. Burned-out systems, dead weapons, crew shaken and pale. The mighty Vorak's fist, once a flagship of fear, now limped into dock with half its lights dark. The council chamber was already full by the time KRYZek arrived. 12 high lords of the Dominion sat around the room, watching him with cold, curious eyes. Warriors, conquerors, beasts of reputation. KRYZek stepped forward. "You asked for a report," he said. "I'm not here to give one. I'm here to warn you." The chamber stirred. "They are not what we believed. The humans are not prey. They are not primitive. They are not weak." One of the older lords, Lord Malzek, scoffed. "You were outwitted by miners and cargo haulers?" KRYZek glared at him. "They lured us in with a fake distress signal. Disabled my fleet with weapons we can't understand. Didn't kill a single one of us. And not because they couldn't." He stepped closer to the table. "Because they didn't need to." Another lord stood. "So you're telling us one fleet of humans defeated yours?" "No," KRYZek said. "One ship did. The rest were there to watch." Silence. He tapped his datapad, and the chamber filled with holographic images, recordings of the battle. The fleet surrounding them. The weapons that disabled without destruction. The strange glowing spheres that unmade drones without firing a shot. The room grew quiet as the truth played out before their eyes. "Tell me," KRYZek said, "when was the last time we met an enemy who didn't fight with rage or panic, but with calm and control?" No one answered. They didn't win by being stronger, he said. They won because they planned better, aimed better, and hit us in ways we didn't even know were possible. He paused. And they said one thing when they let us go. Tell your leaders that humanity is awake. The council looked at each other. Then Lord Malzek stood again, quieter this time. What do you recommend? KRYZek didn't hesitate. We stop treating them like prey. Because if we keep pushing, he leaned forward. We won't see the next warning shot. We'll just stop existing. The council chamber was still. Not a single warlord spoke. KRYZek could feel their unease. These were the most powerful beings in the Dominion, feared across entire star systems. Yet now, they sat in silence, watching grainy footage of a single human ship dismantling their best fleet without firing a fatal shot. They didn't know what to say. That was rare. One of the youngest lords, Ralek, finally spoke. You're suggesting we do nothing? KRYZek turned toward him. No, I'm suggesting we listen. Ralek frowned. To pray? KRYZek walked slowly to the center of the room, facing them all. They are not prey. That's the problem. We thought they were. So did I. And now I know better. He pulled up a new holo recording, this one from the very last moment before they left human space. The Resolute hovered at the edge of the field, its hull still glowing, its weapons quiet. They could have ended us. Not just destroyed our ships, crushed them, ripped them apart like paper. You all saw the black hole weapon. Nods. A few slow, hesitant. They showed us a gun that creates a tiny singularity. A black hole. It lasts 3 seconds. Just enough to crush a ship without harming nearby space. They showed it, and didn't use it. Why? Asked another lord. KRYZek answered without pause. Because they wanted us to understand. Not die. Just learn. High Lord Raxar leaned forward, scales dull and heavy with age. And if we don't learn? Then next time, KRYZek said. They don't stop at engines and weapons. They stop at us. Another warlord spoke up. And what if this was their best? Their only trick? KRYZek shook his head. It wasn't. That ship was disguised as a miner. It was small. The rest of their fleet never even fired. They didn't need to. He let that hang in the air. They let us go. Because dead men don't deliver warnings. That's the kind of enemy we're dealing with. For the first time in his life, KRYZek saw fear. Not anger or pride. In the eyes of the Dominion War Council, it was strange and honest. Another image flickered to life above the table. A map. Human territory, small and scattered, but growing. Faster than predicted. More organized than expected. They've been quiet for too long, said one of the older lords. They've been building, KRYZek corrected. Lord Malzek finally spoke again. So what do we do? Submit. KRYZek looked straight at him. We offer peace, trade, communication, respect. Ralek laughed once, short, nervous. Respect? For humans? Yes, KRYZek said firmly. Because they've earned it. We didn't beat them. We didn't even scratch them. And they beat us without hate. Just purpose. The room went quiet again. Then High Lord Raxar spoke. Put it to a vote. One by one, the warlords placed their answers into the system. Trade or war? Peace or pride? It didn't take long. The final result glowed red above the table. Vote passed. Initiate diplomatic contact with the humans. KRYZek exhaled. Slowly. Not relief. Not joy. Just something closer to hope. 2 days later, he stood once more on the bridge of the Vorax Fist. Repairs were underway. Systems restored. Pride still dented. But there was a new signal being prepared. Peaceful one. His crew moved carefully, unsure of what to expect next. Even his strongest warriors were quieter now. Thoughtful. Message ready for transmission, said his comms officer. KRYZek nodded. Send it. The signal pulsed out across the stars. A formal request for contact. One warrior's voice, speaking not with threats, but with respect. Far away, deep in human space, the message would be received. And the humans would answer. Whether they'd accept peace or not, that part hadn't been written yet. Far across the stars, deep in the quiet core of human space, the signal arrived. It came through the long-range diplomatic array on the UEDF listening station orbiting Vega Prime. The message was short, careful, and polite. This is Warlord KRYZEK of the Dominion. We request peaceful contact. We acknowledge your strength. We seek understanding. Commander Hale stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the decoded transmission scroll across the screen. Around her, her crew waited, silent. She didn't smile, but her eyes softened. They sent it, she said. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Gray, leaned closer. That's not something we expected. No, Hale said. But it's something we hoped for. There was a pause. Then Gray asked, "What now? Do we trust them?" Hale folded her arms and looked out the window at the stars beyond. "We don't trust. Not yet. But we listen." Within hours, Earth Command was notified. Diplomatic channels opened. Secure, controlled, and monitored by 3 stealth cruisers hiding nearby. Humans weren't fools. They didn't drop their guard. But they gave the Dominion a chance. The first transmission came through 2 days later. A voice-only message from KRYZEK himself. Calm. Honest. He spoke not of surrender, but of survival. Of lessons learned. Of the difference between conquering and enduring. Of the danger of underestimating the quiet ones. Humans replied. Not with threats. Not with demands. But with a single phrase. Let's talk. And so they did. Not all at once. Not easily. Not without careful steps. But slowly, the 2 civilizations began to understand one another. The Dominion Council had never bowed to another species. But they had never faced one like humanity before. A species that had nearly wiped itself out a dozen times. A species that had learned, over centuries, how to survive not by brute strength but by thinking differently. A species that didn't shout but prepared. Far across the stars, deep in the quiet core of human space, the signal arrived. It came through the long-range diplomatic array on the UEDF listening station orbiting Vega Prime. The message was short, careful, and polite. This is Warlord KRYZEK of the Dominion. We request peaceful contact. We acknowledge your strength. We seek understanding. Commander Hale stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the decoded transmission scroll across the screen. Around her, her crew waited, silent. She didn't smile, but her eyes softened. They sent it, she said. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Gray, leaned closer. That's not something we expected. No, Hale said. But it's something we hoped for. There was a pause. Then Gray asked, "What now? Do we trust them?" Hale folded her arms and looked out the window at the stars beyond. We don't trust. Not yet. But we listen. Within hours, Earth Command was notified. Diplomatic channels opened. Secure, controlled, and monitored by 3 stealth cruisers hiding nearby. Humans weren't fools. They didn't drop their guard. But they gave the Dominion a chance. The first transmission came through 2 days later. A voice-only message from KRYZEK himself. Calm. Honest. He spoke not of surrender, but of survival. Of lessons learned. Of the difference between conquering and enduring. Of the danger of underestimating the quiet ones. Humans replied. Not with threats. Not with demands. But with a single phrase. Let's talk. And so they did. Not all at once. Not easily. Not without careful steps. But slowly, the 2 civilizations began to understand one another. The Dominion Council had never bowed to another species. But they had never faced one like humanity before. A species that had nearly wiped itself out a dozen times. A species that had learned, over centuries, how to survive not by brute strength but by thinking differently. A species that didn't shout but prepared.